Hi, my name is Ashley, and I'm gonna start to post a blogging internet um, diary because I've seen other people post on here about their anxiety and stuff, and so that's what I'm gonna do because they really helped me by showing me that there's other people in the world that feel like I do. So maybe I can help some people and at the same time get some advice and support. So, what I have is agoraphobia, panic attacks, dysthymia, OCD, and post traumatic stress disorder. In this video, I'm going to talk about my panic attacks. I tend to talk a lot and write a lot because I have a online written diary too, so it's probably going to take up the whole time, and I know it might be boring, but whatever. It's my diary. So anyways, my panic attack started when I was 15. Right now I'm 19, and when I was 15 is the time that I tried smoking weed for the first time. Before I was 15, I had anxiety, and I had like small panic attacks that only lasted about an hour. And they were like where my heart was racing. I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was having lung cancer. I thought I was having a stroke. I thought I had every disease in the book. So I would go to the emergency room and they say there's nothing wrong with you. One time I even had to call an ambulance because I thought I was having a heart attack. And I was only 15 or 14. So that just shows you, like, if you've ever had to do that, don't be embarrassed, because I was so embarrassed, like, to visit the doctor after that, because I'm like, what if it's just my anxiety? So now I don't even visit the doctor unless I get really, really sick. So anyways, when I was 15, I didn't know like what a panic attack was. I just thought I had anxiety. So like when I smoked weed, I started feeling like it didn't feel like all the other anxieties. Like it felt like I was out of reality. It felt like I wasn't even there. Like my body was disconnected and I wasn't connected to everybody else. I've never heard anybody like say that they felt like that on YouTube, but I've heard other people. But I didn't know that had anything to do with anxiety. I thought I was just really high. And at first, like the first thing that went through my mind is that I'm gonna be like another statistic where a girl dies from drugs. And so I thought I was gonna die, and I thought this was like me dying and going crazy. So I just felt the need to run, and so I just got out of this truck we were smoking in, and I ran and walked in a circle over and over again, and people were trying to calm me down. After a while, like a couple hours or whatever, I started feeling better. I was still high, but I felt kind of calm after that. And then when I came down, I didn't feel like that anymore, and it went away. I thought it was just like what happens when you're high. But so I smoked weed like a couple times after that, and nothing happened. I just like laughed a lot, and that never happened. And but then like a couple months later, on New Year's, I drank a lot of alcohol and caffeine, and I had got 2 hours of sleep. And the next day, I decided to smoke weed. So I smoked, and I had it happen even worse than before, where I felt like I wasn't there. My heart was racing. I could hear it pounding. My whole hand started to get numb, like up my arm, and I couldn't hardly move. I was pacing, but I could hardly move, and I like thought I was gonna die again, and because it was worse than before. And I kept begging people to take me to the emergency room, but they wouldn't. They had to hold me down to make me go to sleep. And so I woke up, and I went to sleep thinking I was going to have a heart attack and die, but I woke up, and Felt normal. Nothing was wrong. I thought, oh gosh, I just made a fool of myself last night. So, went home. Everything was okay for a few weeks, or a week, and then started feeling a little anxiety every day, and I was like, what's going on? And, this guy that lived with me, he went to the grocery store, and he was gonna, he made mushrooms, like normal mushrooms that everybody eats, like from the grocery store. And I hardly ever ate mushrooms before that, so he asked me to have some, and I did. But I started thinking like about like the drug mushrooms. Like I was like, oh, I wonder what that's that like. I'll never want to take it. And then like I wasn't even thinking about like the mushrooms I ate. And I started feeling like really weird, like kind of like I did when I was high. And so I called the guy that I smoked weed with before, and I was like, so can you have flashbacks of what you were like when you're high on weed? And he's like, no. So I thought something was wrong. I was like, oh my gosh, what if these were actually like mushrooms you get high off, and someone switched them in the grocery store? So I thought I was like going crazy, and that I was gonna start seeing shit, and because I felt like I wasn't connected to myself. So once I thought that, it got even worse, and I just like ran outside, and I started running down the block, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and things were looking all like contrasted. They were looking too bright but too dark. I had to squint. I couldn't breathe right. I felt like I was going really slow when I was really going fast. My heart was racing, and so I asked my dad. I was like, you need to take me to the hospital. To my dad, I said that. And so he took me. My whole arms and legs were going numb at that point. And we got there, and we sat in the waiting room for like hours. And after that, I started feeling a little better, but not totally. The lady in the room that we finally went to, she was like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. So I went home, and I still kind of felt like that. And I woke up the next morning. Well, I went to sleep. And I woke up the next morning, and I felt the same way that I did last night. Like, I thought going to sleep would help it, but it didn't. I still felt like completely out of like reality. And that's when I started thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna feel like this for the rest of my life. Like, I am screwed for the rest of my life. I never knew this was a symptom to anxiety at that point. I just thought there was something like wrong. And so then we decided to go to another hospital because I begged my dad. And so he brought me to this other one, and they sat me down in a room, and they basically checked all this physical shit. Like, they thought that there was fluid in my ears making me feel unsteady because I was dizzy and everything. And they gave me Ativan to calm me down because they noticed I was anxious about it. And the thing is that I didn't know it was Ativan at the time. I didn't know what it was, but it didn't calm me down at all. Like, I felt the same way. Like, the pill did nothing, and that's weird because Ativan is supposed to be for panic attacks, so I must have been really fucking freaked out. But, after that, they said, there's nothing wrong with you, maybe it'll go away in a few days or a few hours or something. So, like, this point, I'm like, I felt this way for 2 days, so I'm like, there's no way this is gonna go away. I feel like shit. This is like the worst thing anybody in their life can feel like. I can't go through it for another second. I'd do anything for this to go away. So I begged my parents to take me to another hospital, and we sat in this, like, this is a third hospital. We sat in the waiting room for like 6 hours, and finally the people came back. They did like all this like question asking, and they said they're going to put me in the psych ward, a low risk psych ward for teenagers. And I'm about to run out of time. I will finish this in another block. Sorry I talk so much. Okay.